New Jersey is a national leader in consumer protection, and we are delighted to have our guest, who has been with us before, Viola B. Gentili. She's acting chief of the New Jersey Office of Consumer Protection, and she is going to let us know that we should beware. You have a remarkable number of free consumer booklets, and I see on the very top 10 consumer traps.
Yes.
The most common troublesome areas for the consumer.
That most consumers run into at one time or another. The first one is the home improvement contractor. And this is the time of year for that type of problem. You may have a contractor come to your door and say, I just finished the driveway down the street with your neighbor and I have a little extra tar left over. Don't you want me to do yours? I can see it needs patching. Be very much aware of these type of people. They're probably driving a truck with no name on it. Maybe if you're lucky they have a phone number on the truck, but probably not.
Well, shouldn't we call our neighbor down the street or walk down? We may not even know them, but just inquire, did they like the job?
Well, number one, you want to get a contract before you have any work done of a major nature as far as your home is concerned. And our regulation in New Jersey says you have to have a contract for any job that costs more than $25. Well, I don't know of anything that you can do around the home today that's going to cost less than $25. This does not include emergency repair of your toilet or something of that nature, plumbing pipes. But if you're going to go into a major home improvement, you should get recommendations for a reputable contractor. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends. Say, I see you recently had a new driveway done, you had a roof put on. Who did it? Are you satisfied with the work? And then get a couple estimates from a couple different contractors, and the lowest estimate is not always the best price. Maybe, but not always.
I'm concerned about the fly-by-nighter who does fix the neighbor's driveway, but a month hasn't passed. It's only a few days or a week. Trouble hasn't started. What about a roof? Very often the leak happens a couple of months later. So it's really necessary to find out when the work was done. And a lot more. I'm always skeptical about that.
Well, you also, not only do you want to ask the contractor for some names of some satisfied customers that would be willing to talk to you, and you could go look at the job and see when it was done and so forth. But you also want to, in New Jersey, you can check the home improvement contractor's complaint record with your local consumer affairs office. And we can only tell you the number of complaints we've had in a one-year period and what the nature of them was.
Does every county in New Jersey have a consumer protection or a consumer affairs office?
There are only two counties that do not. Warren in the north central part of the state and Salem in the very southern part of the state.
What is it usually listed as?
Whatever the county is, like Camden County Consumer Affairs.
Consumer Affairs?
Yes. Yes. And each county has one except for the two exceptions I mentioned. And they can give you the same information, or you can call the local branch office of the state office. We have a branch in Camden, in the city of Camden, and you can call them and get the same information from our actual.
Let me ask you about something that I know has happened to several people I know, and that's the furniture delay. They buy some marvelous furniture, and they are told it will be delivered within 5 weeks. 5 weeks long, came and went, and no furniture. What rights do they have? They didn't have a contract at the time. Sometimes it's on a charge. If it's a reputable store, should there be a problem?
Well, if it's a reputable store, like one of your major department stores, number one, you're probably not charged until you actually get the furniture delivered. If you are charged, it's usually in error because they assume that the furniture has been delivered.
But if it's a small store, a store...
Well, in New Jersey, we have a furniture regulation also, which requires the furniture dealer to give you a delivery date at the time that you purchase the furniture, at the time that you order the furniture. Must give you a contract and a delivery date, and as soon as possible is not acceptable. It couldn't be as long as 10 or 12 weeks. That is perfectly acceptable.
Provided it's in writing.
That's right. But if he does not meet the delivery date, if it comes 12 weeks later and he hasn't gotten the furniture from North Carolina, then he has to give the consumer the option of accepting a later delivery date or of getting a refund of their deposit.
The full refund?
Full refund. Canceling the order and getting a full refund. And the decision is the consumer's. It is not the business person's decision.
Now, this holds good for any store, really. Is that right?
Any furniture store in New Jersey.
Are we talking about furniture stores, not department stores?
No,
stores that sell only furniture?
No, we're talking about anybody that is selling furniture, whether it's a department store or whether it is...
All right, so even if you go into a department store, it is wise to have on a piece of paper, suppose it isn't a contract, they write out the billing. And there you want them to put on it delivery date, and then you want them to put on something.
Yes,
so
not as soon as possible. Something like 12 weeks or like August 1st or something.
All right, and for
specific.
any reason, if it's many weeks later, you can decide to terminate.
In New Jersey.
In New Jersey.
That's right.
And you're within your rights.
Yes. Yes, you are.
Time sharing. Time sharing for the vacation place.
You have to be very careful with these deals.
They woo you. Oh,
Yes,
they
do.
are seductive.
Very high pressure sales. And one of the problems, Dory, is that people think, I'm just going to sign this contract so I can get out of here and go home.
And take the gift with me.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And they assume that they're going to be able to get out of the contract, they're going to go home, and they're going to call the next day, and they're going to say, I want to cancel. And they don't have the right to do that. There is no clause that says they have the right to do that.
Didn't they have 3 days? Isn't there something about
no,
state?
There is a federal rule, 3 days right to cancel.
Yes.
But it only covers if the contract is signed other than in the business's normal place of operation. If you sign a contract in your home, then you have 3 days to cancel. But you're going down to Atlantic City or Cape May or whatever and signing in the business's place of operation, and you do not have the right to cancel. There is one company in New Jersey that we have an agreement with, a written agreement called a consent order, and they do give 7 days to cancel. But it is not an automatic thing, and many consumers assume that they have 3 days to cancel any contract they sign. The same thing happens with health spas. We do now have a regulation in New Jersey where you do have 3 days to cancel a health spa contract. Prior to that regulation taking effect last December, you did not. And here's another case of high-pressure sales, and I'll just sign it and get out of here.
Well, the high-pressure sale to get you committed to sometimes very expensive plans, it's really all right if you truly think you're going to use that health club.
Absolutely.
So that you amortize that cost.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
But if you don't, you can get taken for a lot of money. Of course, the choice is yours, but you get so excited by being in better shape, or the prospect of being in better shape, that you go ahead and you sign.
That's
but you
right.
still have those 3 days. You go home and you rethink it and decide how you're going to get there that often.
Now in New Jersey, you have 3 days on a health spa contract. The problem with time sharing also is the fact that maybe the community isn't built yet.
Oh, yeah.
Now, some of them are timeshares with campgrounds, but some of them are timeshares, condominiums, townhouses, and that. And you've got to check out the reputation of the company and whether they're going to be able to complete this thing that you're signing away $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 on.
And then, of course, you're in for the long run. Once you do this, it's yours forever.
That's right.
And your taste may change, your lifestyle may change, all kinds of things may alter in your life, and you don't want to go back to the same place once a year. You wanna
Every
visit-
year. You may want to go someplace else. That's right.
But they are clever, inordinately clever. They're extremely well trained in high-pressure sales.
Yes, they are.
Now, some of them, I presume, are okay,
Absolutely.
and some of it works out, but it has a rather, the reputation isn't the best.
No, no. And some people are very happy with it, but
Yeah.
I think it depends on the individual, on the consumer, and they should do some research about whether they're actually going to be happy with this kind of vacation.
The couple who signs up and 5 years in, nobody has replaced that furniture, which has been used by many people, and the kitchen is run down, and you want to bring it up to what it was when you first saw it. And if it is not reputable, or if the entire resort has been sold to another owner,
That's right.
he may simply want to keep it for a while, make a profit, turn it over to somebody else, and in the meantime, you wait for a refurbishing of that apartment, so it is a shabby vacation.
It certainly
There are all
is.
kinds of hazards.
Yes.
So you really have to know the owner, and you have to know the
The
track
reputation
record.
of the company, yes. And some of them have a number of different developments, so it would be possible to check on maybe an earlier one.
I see in one of your free offerings, and may I say, I am going to hold this up. There are so many. If you call the state office, and we're going to give you the one for southern New Jersey, of course, there are two. One is in Newark, and one is in southern New Jersey and in Camden. They're all free. They can't send you probably all of them. That would get heavy mailing bills, but you name it. So you say to the person, do you have anything on home improvements, buying a new car, a used car? They have many, and more coming down the pike. This is a very fine service of our state, and they do our state. I think of New Jersey now as in my state, because I know southern Jersey, as many Philadelphians know so well.
Yes,
let's talk about the used car.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, an excellent brochure on the used car.
Well, people have a problem with used cars just starting out. They assume that they're going to get a good deal. They assume that the salesperson is going to tell them the truth about the car. That may not be true. Here again, you have to be careful about who you're dealing with. When you're buying either a new or a used car, if you're buying it from a reputable dealer, here again, you want to check the complaint record of the car sales place that you're going to deal with to find out if they're going to be around if you have a problem.
So if you call your county office, they will have it listed. Would that state number, the 609 number we have on screen, would they also be transferred from county to the state? Would you have all those records?
Well, you'll have all those records.
All right.
Yes, yes, we have all those.
Okay,
records.
so first of
the
all,
other thing
a
is the person buys, then they buy a car as is, and they think that means that it's going to cover something, and as is means exactly that, as is.
You can buy a junk pile, but the point is you don't want to buy a junk pile. Even though the price is right, you still want to know and look for certain things. For instance, it's easy to cover up rust with all kinds of paint underneath and whatever. There are all kinds of tricks that can be done to make the car look a lot better. So it is caveat emptor, though.
Yeah, and in New Jersey, you have to the car has to pass New Jersey state inspection unless the consumer waives that right.
I can't praise this booklet enough. I'm ashamed to tell you, if I were buying a used car, there's so many things listed, I wouldn't even know to look for them. I wouldn't even know how to identify this and this, and look for the dipstick, and does the liquid from the coolant look like this, because that's the way it should look. There's so many other things. You owe it to yourself to get this. It will surprise you. It really will. It is superb. But I understand the truth of the matter is, when it's a used car,